Good morning, wrestling fans. Today is January 4th, 2023. Lance Brock here. And New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Kingdom 17 took place at the Tokyo Dome in Tokyo, Japan earlier this morning. But I will be talking about that at another time. I haven't decided just yet. Either might do that podcast later today before AEW Dynamite, or talk about it when on the same episode as I recap tonight's Dynamite. But just stay tuned for that whenever I decide to do the podcast talking about it. And on to Good Morning Wrestling fans. For this episode, so far I have talked about Wrestler of the Year and Tag Team of the Year for 2022. And now it is time to talk about my pick for Woman Wrestler of the Year 2022. And this year it was a tough decision for me to make, because in my opinion there was definitely a lot of competition for this Woman Wrestler of the Year. And first, let's just talk about some of the runners-up, I guess you could say. We had one of the biggest women wrestling news stories of 2022 was, of course, Sasha Banks and Naomi walking out of Monday Night Raw and did not return for the rest of the year, which I'll be talking more about one of them when I recap Wrestle Kingdom on 360 Wrestling Fanatic. But the runners-up, there's quite a few of them, I would say. There's Bianca Belair. Dr. Britt Baker still could be in the conversation. Jamie Hayter, Thunder Rosa. Even Toni Storm had a very good year, and one time was the AEW Interim Women's Champion. Ronda Rousey, Liv Morgan, Jordynne Grace, Mickie James having her last rodeo this year. Chelsea Green even had a few good matches this year, and like I said, it has been a competitive year for women's wrestling, and Charlotte Flair recently returning, so I wouldn't really consider her. She was gone for quite a while. And Becky Lynch also gone for a while, but still definitely did not have a bad year. Bayley making her return and forming Damage Control with Dakota Kai and Io Sky, and having a good feud with Bianca Belair. And this next one, a lot of people might disagree with me, but I would even say Jade Cargill definitely has to be mentioned in the conversation. From the beginning of the year, winning the first ever AEW TBS championship and holding on to it the whole year. From the first Dynamite on TBS, and still remaining undefeated in All Elite Wrestling. I know she has her critics. Some people really don't care for her too much. But I think Jade has improved in the ring a little bit. And I think she has also improved on the mic as well. She's working good as a heel right now. And like I said, I think she definitely deserves to be in the conversation for Woman Wrestler of the Year. But now it is time for my pick of Woman Wrestler of the Year. And I'm going over to Japan. Stardom, Shiri, who I know I haven't talked about it on the podcast, Stardom, I mean, a lot, but I do follow it, and she has had a great year holding the Stardom red belt, and she is also was number 1 in the Pro Wrestling Illustrated list of top 100 wrestlers, women wrestlers, I should say. And Stardom, I probably should start talking about it in the new year on the podcast. And like I always say, my New Year's resolution is to make the podcast better, and that's what I'm going to try to do this year. I'm going to talk about more Japanese wrestling, as I should. Stardom, of course. New Japan Pro Wrestling Noah. Who knows, maybe some DDT as well. But definitely gonna try to start covering more Japanese wrestling, some more Lucha Libre here on the podcast. And speaking of Lucha Libre, sorry for going back to one of the late runners up here, but Taya Valkyrie making her return not only to Impact Wrestling and AAA after her release from WWE. I know sometimes on the podcast I can be all over the place talking about one thing and then another thing. So that is my pick for Woman Wrestler of the Year for 2022, Shiri. But this year, though, it was definitely a tough choice. I went back and forth a few times and was going to say Bianca Belair and was even going to say Jamie Hayter, because she really emerged this year. I don't want to say out of Dr. Britt Baker's shadow, but she really got over with the fans. She's been good in the ring, becoming the AEW Women's Champion, the official Women's Champion, not the interim, at Full Gear this past November. And also Dr. Britt Baker still had a very good year. And Toni Storm impressed me. And in WWE, Liv Morgan, she did have some good times in 2022, winning Money in the Bank and then winning the Raw Women's Championship. But then, since then, I feel like WWE kind of dropped the ball on her, or SmackDown Women's Championship, I should say. I apologize for that mistake, but she had a lot of momentum, but then I think she kind of cooled down a bit, though. And hopefully 2023 is an even better year for women's wrestling, not just here in North America, WWE, AEW, Impact, and also Japan as well, with, I forgot to mention this, something I should have, Kairi Sane, or just Kairi now, becoming the first IWGP Women's Champion in 2022. She's another one who has done very well since her WWE release. As far tomorrow goes, it is an off Thursday, so I won't be walking to work. But I think I might try to do this podcast sometime in the morning. So since I am not walking to work, it might be longer than the other episodes this week have been. And I think I'm going to talk about Match of the Year, because already I don't think I'm going to have one choice. So what I'm going to do is talk about some of my favorite matches in no real particular order, but I'm going to talk about some of my favorite matches from 2022. So that should be fun. That's tomorrow. Good morning, wrestling fans. But first, don't forget, later today, I'll be trying to do a recap of New Japan Pro Wrestling's Wrestle Kingdom 17. Not quite sure just yet when I'm going to do that episode, but sometime today. And also AEW Dynamite, with some changes apparently we are going to see. And hopefully I will have a recap of that too as well. Stay tuned to 360 Wrestling Podcast, this feed, wherever you listen to it on. So that is it for January 4th episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. Thank you for listening, everyone. And until tomorrow, keep watching pro wrestling.